Hello everybody and welcome to my place on the internet, where I am your host, Peter aka the MuttonChopGuy, where I jump into the sprawling world of manga to talk about a niche genre within it, known as Geiko Me, or Bara, because that's what it's called. Yes, I know it took me a while to make this video. I promised myself that I was going to try to make more videos this year, but holy crap, why does the start of every year always start like with a snowball rolling gently down a hill and then quickly jumps off a cliff? I don't understand it. It's been like this for 2 years in a row now. But that aside, with my own personal life, I managed to work around all the craziness that's been happening in my life to make this video. So I certainly hope you guys enjoy it. Big tidbit, yes, my husband's doing pretty well. He graduated from his physical therapy and we're continuing on with his recovery. It takes a very, very long time, and it's always a long process when it comes to certain injuries, like something that's like a stroke. You know, that's just how it is. But he will say that he appreciates everybody's concerns and wishes for his health. He really appreciates that. So if you still want to tell him that, you know, get well soon, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section down below.
Bring it in, guys.
All right, let's get right into things though. So I bring you another, well, this isn't a manga, this is actually a Western graphic novel comic type thing that was recommended to me by one of my Discord members. And I'm so glad that this person recommended me this one because holy crap, this one's a fantastic one in my book. So, without further ado, what am I going to be talking about? Well, it's this lovely little comic series called Finding Family by Maririn. Maririn. The names here. I suck at names. You guys know this. Anyone who's watched my channel long enough, they know I suck at names. So watch me butcher some more names in this video too, right? Yeah. That's my life, everyone.
Welcome to my life.
So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into this lovely story and talk about it.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. Tricky, get the bags. Let's move it, heifer.
We begin on a nice sunny day at some park, and we are greeted with young children frolicking about. We learn that this is adoption day for an orphanage where we meet one of our main characters, Elias. The other kids at the orphanage are scared of him because apparently if you stare into his eyes, you will lose your soul. How do they know? Because everyone says so. Yeah, that totally checks out. Hey, have the State Department tell people this about anything they do. No one will ever challenge it, right? Right?
We're all gonna die.
Anyways, it's pretty clear that the other children are scared of Elias, with how they spread some of the wildest rumors I have ever seen. Why are you telling another kid to peek out Elias's junk? Whatever. So we learned that Elias was left at the fire station when he was young, and he has been in orphan care for 12 years. So he kept to himself since people had an aversion to him, until this day where he sees two men speaking to one of the other orphans, only to see that she ran away from them. Then they see Elias standing by himself and approach him. This is Tobias and Tyson, and their story begins 10 years prior to this fateful day. We see Tyson back in high school where he's encountered by a group of bullies teasing him for his sexuality. Oh great, the usual homophobic trope. Like I haven't seen this like 1,000 times in my life. We're gonna have a fight? Maybe a bit of hero action from someone we didn't see coming? A teacher coming to break it up? Let's find out together. Oh look, it's a fight. And oh, what's this? Someone came into the fight and started whooping ass? Called it. Totally called it.
Keep reading. Come on.
All right.
So who was it that came to Tyson's rescue? It's Tobias, and his older brother, Jonathan, is the leader of this gang. Ah, the sibling dispute plotline, a classic character point for our newly arrived main character. After being told off by Tobias about how much he embarrasses the family, Jonathan leaves with his gang, ending the conflict with our two main guys leave to get a cup of coffee to become better acquainted with each other. We learned that our two boys swing for the same team, but more importantly is that they're both members of a family that owns a prestigious business. Tobias with his vineyard and winery, and Tyson with his gourmet restaurant chain. What's more is that these two businesses have deals with each other that has made both of their families very successful. Well, that's just a bit convenient, don't you think?
Coincidence? I think not!
So these two go on a few dates, study for the class subjects that they're taking together, hang out at school inseparably, and grow a bond with each other that leads up to each of them meeting their respective family of the other. A nice slow burn that hits all the right beats in terms of a story, which I am all here for. Each character learns more about the other through the proxy of their immediate family. Tyson learns where Tobias gets his impulsive stubbornness from his father, which to me is like, yeah, go figure. However, Tobias' father expressed his appreciation for Tyson bringing out the best in his son, and hopes that he becomes his soulmate. Aww, that's nice. When Tobias goes to dinner at Tyson's family home, he receives a warm welcome from them, and our two main guys spend a lovely evening together. They decide to take a stroll away from the family, ending up at Tyson's place, sharing their thoughts about how they met and what fate has in store for them. This brings us to one of the most well-deserved and paid-off kissing scenes that I have read in a while. As time went on, the two families were able to grow their businesses together with a new opening of a restaurant. Tyson expressed his concerns about how he felt his father leveraged their relationship for a business opportunity, and Tobias assured him that he doesn't regret it in the slightest, as it also annoys the older brother and he takes that as a reward for their relationship. Heh, nice. When they graduate high school, they go to the same college, and after some incidents involving Tobias' temper, manage to become dorm mates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Yeah, I know. Who didn't see this coming when we see Tyson return to the dorm room, finding Tobias standing there in his undergarments, resulting in an amazing night of sweet lovemaking, which just goes from a very sweet to very spicy in a matter of a few panels. So enjoy it while you can.
Oh my god, yes, that is tasteful!
Then we see our two main characters continuing with their lives together after graduating from college, with both of them learning more about their family businesses. It wasn't until one night that Tobias tells Tyson that he wanted to take their relationship to the next level, and said he wanted a child to raise with him. Well, we know the answer to this, considering the prologue that we had at the beginning. But at least the tension of the story was still felt with how they discuss about raising a child. So they start going through the process of adopting a child, and we see what leads up to the fateful day where we meet the Arctic fox with the different color eyes. What follows is a gripping story of how a person learns what it means to build their ideal family through facing adversity, dealing with death, overcoming shame, absolving regrets, and earning redemption. A story with depths on its subjects, nuance with its characters, and balance with its tones. While this is an unfinished story, there is enough content for anyone to enjoy. We also have a story of love between two partners that expresses trust and intimacy that elevates the scene with payoffs, while also show a natural exploration into their respective sexuality that doesn't go too overboard into the extremes of kink. Having these two sides within a story of this nature only serves to elevate each other with how it is handled within the execution, becoming a story that I hope gets a proper ending that I feel it deserves.
That can't be it. Where's the rest of it?
This is where you will come to understand why I love all the members of my Discord server. Because they know what kind of stories I love to read, and this story hits all the hallmarks of what I want out of a gay love story. How this story handles the subjects within is nothing short of masterful in my eyes, as nothing feels too superfluous nor too contrived that builds upon what it establishes throughout the narrative. While to me it feels cliche for the opening chapters to have the homophobic plotline of bullies in school picking on the gay kid, it is very necessary for the story to execute in order for the reader to understand the struggles that happen to people in their formative years, which is from as early as junior high to the beginning of university or trade school. It does come off as cartoony when I read it now, because my brain instantly goes for that cheesy accent that cartoons use for bullies. You know what I mean if you grew up with cartoons that did it with their bully character types. Not looking for trouble. Really? Cause any guy who goes around wearing panties and dresses is just begging for trouble in our book. You see what I mean? It's just cheesy to me now. But let's not get hung up on that. At least this gets worked into later chapters in the story that makes it worth reading through. Jonathan probably gets the most well-deserved redemption arc with his family, and it just made me fall in love with this story, because it shows how things aren't always how they appear on the surface. I will say that the fight sequences in this story were actually pretty good, as they didn't go overboard like how some manga and anime likes to go. But again, those are part and parcel to the mediums. However, the author used these points of conflict to build the characterization of multiple characters and their connections with each other that makes the rifts and conflict that much more impactful for the audience to really feel a sense of humanity in each of them. If any author is going to use homophobia in their stories, this is how you should do it, because there is a lot of things you can explore through a character that has this on the surface. Then we see a balance with the lighter tones and moods that characters have, especially between Tobias and Tyson. These two have been written to balance each other out, and how it was executed is beautiful. Tobias' impulsiveness is countered by Tyson's calculative approach, yet Tyson's trepidation is balanced by Toby's ambition, which gives this tug-of-war feel to the conflicts they face in the story and how they're able to overcome these obstacles. Not only do the main characters have personality and depth, but the side characters bring some intrinsic layers to the plot that leaves a stronger emotional impression on the audience with how each character grows with each one presented. What was so impressive to see is how each subject and theme were handled with such care and finesse that while they're serious subjects, they're paid with respect for the audience to understand that it was not taken lightly or downplayed to undermine the audience's maturity to these themes. When I got through chapter 4 and 5, I was pretty much like this. I'm not crying, you're crying! I will also advise you not to read these chapters while listening to Andrew Bird's Armchair Apocrypha album, as it just made it hit me like a truck, but didn't get transported to another world like how Iseke likes to do. A lot. For some reason I don't think I will ever understand. Getting back to the story, I just love how the themes of death and reconciliation were handled in these two chapters with such sensitivity that I hope this would happen with some of my other siblings. So I don't have to prevent a brawl from breaking out at any family gathering. Like my family gets together at all. And if we ever did get together, somebody better bring some blunts, because booze will only make things worse. Yet there are chapters that are so wholesome that my heart swells with warmth and wish that we had more stories like this. Elias' story is one that intrigues me, as his origins are tragic, yet there is still a mystery about his biological parents that I seldom recall being explored in some shows I used to watch, but only contained to a single episode and then thrown to the wayside. I will be interested to see how they handle that if they so choose to explore it, as it would allow for some character development on Elias to grow from knowing details of his past. I also love how we get a contrast to Elias and Cole, who is the son of Char, a military friend of our two main guys. What I like is how they were able to become good friends quickly, considering that they were both rather shy and awkward. But having Char rip a stinker gave them a chance to bond, by running away as fast as they can. As somebody who has served in the military, I can confirm that this happens a lot in the barracks. And yes, I've seen people clear a whole floor with how noxious their flatulence can be. One time we actually had to wash somebody like they did in Anchorman.
This is worse than the time the raccoon got in the copier! Yeah.
All these things can only be magnified with how the writer utilizes the pillowing scenes, and they do not waste the opportunity to fortify the characters involved, while also being good enough to stand on their own. I usually don't delve too deep into these things for the story, mostly because of platform restrictions that make it difficult to discuss it, but it needs to be remarked when the author and artist uses them to bolster the overall work, rather than simply providing a service of interest. I truly felt that these scenes were consistent with the traits each character who were used in these scenes. Yet, I also felt the kinks displayed were handled in such a way that didn't take me out of the story. It's a delicate process that comes with the territory, and these scenes can easily make or break your writing if you mishandle it. In this story though, I couldn't help but be impressed with how it was handled, while also being a way to show these themes off in a more positive light that felt earned for the characters, which I felt like I earned these scenes for my emotional investment of said characters. I will reiterate that this story is incomplete, but what has been explored is really strong in terms of hitting all the merits that make up a powerful story. Time will tell if the writer and artist decide to complete it, and I wait with bated breath. Do not let the incompleteness deter you away from something that is really strong in terms of the writing, character development, plot lines, and exploration. There are some of the most well-rounded characters I have read in a while that I wish I could see more of within bigger productions that has suffered from lacking those things. But let us not forget the other part that makes this story work as well as it does. The art works very well for the story being told here. Something that I look for is how well the artist is able to convey the thoughts and emotions of each of the characters, and the artist did an amazing job here. When we watch any anime or cartoon shows in the server, I tend to discuss how different art styles work for different things like fight scenes, facial expressions, body language, and even framing techniques. That aside, I like how the frames and panels were used to give us a great presentation of this story. While the first chapter was in black and white, which I take it for leaning into the flashback story beats, the rest of the chapters that are published are colorized, and I really like that it helps sell many of the deeper emotional scenes. Granted, it's much more common for Western comics to be colorized while manga tends to only be black and white. But I do have to say that the color palette used here was very pleasant to look upon. The shades and highlights help balance much of the palette, which lets things not feel overpowered or drawing my attention away from where the artist wants me to focus on. Something I do like to point out is how the colorized parts really help add much needed textures for facial expressions that I was blown away with how well it came out. While I've seen manga pull off looks like tiredness, stress, or classic emotions like anger and sadness, here I felt the weight that each character felt with how their thoughts and feelings were expressed on their face. I'm not sure why exactly, but I can really feel it when I see someone with bags under their eyes. Either that, or I'm just relating really hard to being tired.
Don't even trip, dog.
Okay, anyways, I really enjoyed how well the art was able to make each character distinct within animal breeds, as things can get confusing if you make them too similar. Also, having this colorized make the jaguar and leopard differences much more pronounced, giving us other aspects of their coats that can be shown and highlighted. I can't recall if I read a manga with this subject matter in it, but I would be concerned that it would be muddled with the monochromatic displays the medium is infamous for. I will not be surprised if I read a manga that proves me wrong, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There is one point when it comes to the anatomy that I felt was a bit bloated when it came to proportionality, but I've also seen people put giant monsters on their characters and that makes them comically laughable to me. Like, I get it, size queens exist, and I'm sure they will point to this work as a good example of that kink done well, but it still feels a bit cartoony to me. However, it doesn't detract from the themes of the pillowy scenes, so it gets points for that. Overall, this is a fantastic story that has a great balance of lighthearted themes with heavy subject matters that gives great depth of character and providing an amazing plot development that kept me wanting to read the next chapter until they ran out of chapters. I certainly hope that they finish the story because it is of a quality that I hold in high regard. I love how the story managed to keep me on my toes with how it handled the woven narratives with all the characters involved, and keeping the explicit content rather tame by letting it fortify the character traits for the extra level of consistency that rounds out everyone's personality. Plus, the art has a style that plays into the robust themes of the story, giving us a fantastic graphic novel style product that I miss reading from when I was in middle school. If you're looking for a story that tackles the ideas of how one defines a family, overcome obstacles of death, adversity, reconciliation, redemption, and kinship, then this is the one for you.
It's over now, we gotta go.
And that's pretty much it for my episode. I certainly hope whoever watched this that you did enjoy this, and if you did enjoy this, please do not hesitate to give the video a like. Please share it about. Leave a comment here so let me know that you did enjoy it. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It does help me out.
Please enroll in our school, please, please.
And of course, you can find any of my socials down in the description below. Please do not even hesitate to join my Discord. And yes, I will note this, that people do need to verify when they join, so that way you guys can stick around and actually have full access to the entire server. I had to lock it down to a certain degree, so people will have to verify in order to gain full access. Just want to put that out there. But yes, thank you to everybody who watches my videos and shares them about. I highly appreciate it. If it wasn't for you, I probably would still not be doing this. But you know what? I enjoy what I do here, and I enjoy that you enjoy what I do. Wow, that sounded like a weird tongue twister. But yep, without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys all in my next video. Bye-bye.